Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go. And Bitcoin got a little bit of a push to the upside New York session, only to sell off. It was a false move Tuesday as we went and wick-whacked both sides of the liquidity. What does that mean by getting wick-whacked on both sides, and what is liquidity? Well, let's go look at the liquidity to find out. As we broke above this pitch fan on the 886, we've had price in for over a year, and are we going to see some reaction today with the FOMC news inbound? So this is what the liquidity is. People lock their liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss, and we get to see what those crispy characters are, so let's do it now. So yesterday there was some liquidity building up to the upside here at 52.9, and they came up and swept that 53K, only to then come back and grab all the longs that had hopped in and forgot to pay themselves and come all the way down to 50,008. So taking that $3,000 gap region and now coming back into some of the longs here, do we shorts rather, so do we come back up to that 53.4 region for the news? What news is inbound, you say? Well, go to forexfactory.com to check it out. Later on in the afternoon session for New York, we will have some FOMC minutes and Bowman speaking. Also, there should be some volatility inbound for price action. So let's go back to the liquidity here and take a look at things as they stand currently. So you have a high amount of high leverage folks up in that 52.7 region for shorts. If you go to the higher time frame, they came all the way down, grabbed all of those longs, and they've just been keeping it even Steven, so they're going to let things percolate. They've just been destroying both sides. Not very clear on this picture to see where it wants to go. So let's go to a higher time frame and see if we can see where some stuff lies. So they came and swept that 1.4 billion up at 52.8. That was percolating up here. There isn't really much up above. There's 767 at 53.430, and you also have some large amounts still down below. 46.185 has 687 million alongside 600 million at 46.6, and all of these guys down here, $300 million pooled pockets. Here, ironically, you have nothing in that 48.5 region, which is interesting to note. No one got in on this squeeze up here. You also have 500 million at 550k 351 and 566 at 49.8. So you have a bunch of billions of dollars. 50,007 has 570. So you have a bunch of longs to come liquidate here if we do see an ABC pattern to the downside. Let's go ahead and take a look at where we stand currently. If you have this retrace region, this impulse that you pull on the retracement here, we did come up to the 786 here for that 52.5 and currently rejected off of that. Do we see this level here hold in terms of a resistance zone at 52.4? Are we going to come back down? The point of control is currently at the 51.798 region, and currently we are range bound. What do I mean by that? Well, if you do 2 clicks pulling on this regression trend, you'll see we're just in a channel here, trading between the channel. So if we're going to come back down and recover this wick on the 4-hour, that could be something we could do. If we look at the daily though, you do have high leverage down in that 51.6 region. Currently the highest was up to that 52.6, but surprisingly we didn't go clear that high leverage pool up there. So what do we do from here? Let's go to a higher time frame and see if we can see any percolating. There's 6 billion down at 34k, 2 billion at 41.1, 2.5 at 46.7, 1.86 at 47.5. You have 1.45 at 53.9. 54k has another 839 million. So you are getting some shorts piling in up at the top here, but ultimately you have a lot of longs that are still open. They don't need to rush to go get them because the funding rate charges each one of these open trades, so they are in no rush to come down here and grab them since they're in profit. There's 4.5 billion down at 47.446, so getting a healthy retracement down to that level would make the most sense at some time. 6.16 billion down at 46.735, so a large amount down here. If you look up here, there's 2.52 at 54k, so not nearly as much up above as there is down below. Do we start to see a bit of a pullback on the weekly? A lot of people are seeing the top not yet be in. A lot of YouTubers calling for longs and stuff, so if the majority are calling for something, does that mean they are usually right or wrong? Generally, when the FOMO starts to kick in is when it starts to become over. If we look at the greed, we have 78 extreme greed, +6 since yesterday. So we could be seeing a bit of a pullback with the FOMC minutes. Just watch out for that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Momo and throw on Momentum Master, link in the description for more. And momentummaster.info. Scroll down to features, you can see Bitcoin's bottom in 2022 in November, 15k before we knew it, because of the stochastic array with the rocket ships, the trend cloud, the baselines, dynamic alerts to your phone, and more. so you can stay plugged in and stay ahead of the curve. So speaking of the curve, the 4-hour cloud is kind of curving here in a manner. What do I mean by that? Well, if you look over here, you have this cloud coming up on the 4-hour and starting to thin. Now we did get above it, and you can invert the cloud and bounce off of it. If you trade with the direction of the cloud, generally you are primed for profit that way. So the fact that the cloud is not on your side for a short is concerning for the shorts. If you bounce off of this cloud, you can continue higher. So as long as the cloud and this point of control is on your side, we could be going for higher prices. This is in the immediate time frame of the 4-hour. Let's go down the time frame to see what's up. The 3-day. The 3-day closed with today's daily candle close. It closed kind of as an indecision doji, but more bullish than bearish. And if we look at the momentum waves here, as the baselines are crossed over and the price is still holding, 3-day is still in effect, the money flowing back up to the RSI with that burst to the upside. Coming to the daily time frame, the daily time frame getting a little bit gassed here as we see the money flowing up above the RSI, coming possibly down to the RSI levels, the stochastic reset, and the Williams on the precipice of the alarm cross down event. On the daily time frame baseline, you're starting to get a helix, which means this cross down on the daily. Do we see this suppression of the price action on the daily time frame? We've seen this baseline hold with the cross-up event from Friday, January 26th, and we are now starting to see that first sign of the abatement of upwards momentum. Does it cascade and continue on the daily time frame? We're just riffing as we go, so let's just keep it clean as we take a look. So as you see here, this baseline, you can read about it. It is your first sign of reversal. One of the few leading moving average formulas you will find on the market. A lot of people like to say indicators are lagging. We use all leading information, so you catch these pullbacks before they happen. We were looking at this cross down event before it pulled back down to 50K over the weekend. You can go back and roll the tape. We were seeing this before it happened. So we're seeing the suppression of the price, potentially speaking, as the baselines hold above the price action. This is what it says here. While conversely, as price action closes beneath these and begins to cross, downside begins. So if this continues, then we could see a pullback. We're starting to see stop hunts with these triangles here. Are we getting a stop hunt manipulation to see lower prices? Oh, what the... And coming to, this is the 22-hour. 22-hour is coming, money flow beneath the RSI here. Generally, the money flows up to the RSI. That is something to be aware of. What do I mean by that? Well, here, the gray zone here, this gray zone tends to flow up to the RSI, and you can see this money flow back up to the upside. Last time that happened was over here, and sure enough, the money flowed back up to the RSI. There are rare occasions when the cycle is over, when the RSI flows down to the money flow. It's not 100%, but most times if you see this disparity, it starts to bang in that direction. So, are we going to see that upside momentum continue? The stochastic reset on the 22, you do have the Williams gassed out and overbought here. Does the alarm suppress this takeoff and bring the RSI down to it? You have some ambiguous signals with the baselines above the price and not on your side for the long idea. Coming to the 12-hour. 12-hour also has the cross down event of the baselines. Do we see this cascade further down to this 5.9% super trend at 49K? 49K super trend level. Not seeing this amount of liquidity here. You would see a large amount, 880 million in that level if you were going on this alone. Going to the monthly, you do have 500, basically 500, 1.5 billion down in this region, going down to the 49.8 region. Does that mean we can come down to that or not? You do have the cloud on the 12 hours still strong, starting to taper ever so slightly, but this 2 o'clock angle for the cloud is showing that strength to the upside, not being a freight train in your face for the shorts. So watching for this to turn to the 3 o'clock angle, which we were seeing on the 4-hour time frame, is where it all starts. So looking at the oscillator for the 12, also getting the money flow beneath the RSI. You previously had some hidden bullish divergence which played out to the upside, ever so slight, but played out nonetheless since Saturday. And are you going to get this takeoff of the 12-hour stochastic, or the suppression of the Williams being gassed to the overbought region? Coming to the 6-hour. 6-hour previously came to the cloud and bounced off the cloud yesterday, coming down to this level at what is this, 50,799, recovering some of this wick and continuing higher. And this cloud is ever so slightly starting to curve in a manner here. You'd have to break down beneath it for a short to be valid, so you'd have to come back, bearishly retest, and then come down lower for this to be genuinely some weakness. So far it is the opposite of weakness. It is showing strength off the cloud, bouncing off of the cloud like so. And this is how you do the trade with the cloud, bounce with the cloud idea, coming back for that cloud kiss idea on the 6-hour. Does this continue? We have the money flow, the hidden bullish with the stop hunt, and the money flowing back to the RSI, even Steven levels, to get this takeoff and turn of the stochastic on the 6-hour. Coming to the 4. 4-hour is where this is starting to curve a little bit. The first time in a while where the cloud is no longer blue. So you had this before up here in February 1st, where we went sideways for a bit, and then we started to flip the cloud on the Wednesday, February 7th, and the rest was history at 43K. Boom. So do we start to flip this cloud that is starting to thin? A thin does not always mean reversal. It can be another expansion to the upside. This is where you can read about this. Thin clouds represent weakness or consolidation points. Keep in mind when the cloud thins and a potential expansion or reversal is in. So this is what we're seeing on this 4-hour, leading to the curvature on the 6. Do we get this flipping of the cloud and this inflection point to go higher? Closing out a 4-hour candle bullishly above this level is interesting to say the least. Let me go ahead and delete that one. Yeah, we closed out just above the cloud and the point of control. Do we hold this and maintain it going into the FOMC? What is the FOMC going to say? Looking at the hourly. Oh, I don't think we looked at the oscillator for the 4-hour. Let's do that first. So the 4-hour has this money flow beneath the RSI, suggestive of the money flowing back up to the RSI, which it is doing currently. And you're getting this overbought status of the Williams kind of holding the range here, not going back to overbought but not resetting fully. Coming to the hourly. The hourly time frame also has the money flow beneath the RSI, suggestive of more upside as the money flow inserts back in. Also cloud on your side for more upside as we reclaimed it from this sudden drop from yesterday. So as you hold this point of control in the cloud, do we start to break this 786 region and go higher? The liquidity on this zone, if we come to the daily here, we do have this larger amount up here at that 52.8 region, a lot of high leverage, high guys up here. So coming back into this 706 region, there's a 706 up here. What is that 706? Let's go back to a daily time frame and take a look. So this is a range from over here to the left. Looking to the left, you have this impulse to the downside, this long trend to the downside from 2021 to 2022. So this entire impulse, this is the 786 level at 53,244. This also happens to be this wick that the daily bounced off of, and another candle closed on the daily here. And also there is this level over here at 52.7 from September 7th, 2021. So do we hold this 52.7 region and flip it, or are we going to react in a bearish manner to this 53K 706 idea? The left is your friend for this idea. So taking a look, even if we come up to these levels, are we going to see some manipulation to the downside? So there is one last hurrah of liquidity up here in that 53K region. If we look up here, 676 million up here. Beyond that point, you have a majority down below. So do we see some sort of sell-off news event? Daily time frame also getting that cross down event. Coming to Bitcoin dominance and USDT dominance. So the USDT dominance, we're looking at a possible cross-up event. We're getting this potential on the daily as well. And if we go to the 12-hour time frame, 12-hour was also getting some cross-ups on, what was that circle? A 6-hour? Yeah, we were seeing the 6-hour hold, and then that's why we were seeing this kind of come up and looking at that short idea, and which did play out as they came and knocked some of the shorts, longs into USDT and the shorts. All right, so looking at the Bitcoin dominance, let's see, dominance starting to take back the reins a little bit as people start to trim on their alts, most likely. If we look at the alt market, you got some people pulling back to the cloud and basically holding that bounce off the cloud as the bullish narrative continues. Our fib levels holding for this impulse retrace. We came up to that 1618 $551 billion level, started to sell off to the super trend and cloud still holding on the alts. Alts still have a bullish narrative going on, and I believe that's mainly ETH right now. If you look at the day, I have a bunch of coins here, Monero and Ape, FET, Leo, SC, what is C a coin, Render, Hex, and Immutable and more. On the day, in the hour, getting Starknet, and so on and so forth. If we look at the ETH here, we're going to see that ETH is getting some upside events going on here. This is holding that cloud just like Bitcoin came up, having a bullish narrative going higher into the 3K region. If we look at the daily, basically coming back to this region over here, at that 30,059 level. There's a bunch of days where we closed here as support, resistance, and support, broke through, kind of here consolidated. Let's go see if that's on a weekly time frame as well. And we were looking at the ETH BTC idea a long time ago, a few weeks back, was it? The ETH BTC showing the rocket ship idea. So we were looking at this back here when we had the rocket ships down in January, and then it started to surge up. It retraced all the way back down, but now you're starting to get some nukes here on the ETH BTC after we reclaimed this daily cloud. So does this cloud start to consolidate as you reset some oscillators and you come back down here on the daily cloud idea? Coming to some lower time frames on ETH BTC. I know there's a lot of people that stake the ETH, and in BTC, still a new area of expertise to juxtapose ETH and BTC at the same time. For me, what the correlation is not exactly clear for me. So ETH still holding strong as it goes up to a region on the daily time frame. So this level is 3,000. Where we're at right now, this point of control in this range right around here. Switch this color to red. So this point of control at 3005 is right where we're at for this range from 2022 in March. Do we flip it and come up to some high levels up here at 3582 or not? You have some daily resistance levels within this range too. Some levels over here. If we take a look at ETH, from this impulse and this retrace idea, basically we're at the 2 level. Do we come up to that 2414, or are we going to fade out in this region with this resistance level at the point of control for ETH and at least retrace down into some order blocks? Let's go ahead and take a look at the 12-hour, see how that's holding up. Still bullish. There's no cross down event and price closing beneath the baselines just yet. Still very, very strong momentum. Same with the cloud here. No reason to short or even think of a short for ETH right now. Looking at the 6 hours, still just banging on to the upside. So that is one of the things keeping the total 3, or actually that's just the alts. The total 2 is what's keeping it together, but you have a lot of alt surges going on as well as people trim on BTC, and so this could just hold the range. There's no guarantees that it goes up or down. We could just be consolidating in the range here for some time. Need I remind you of July? So this was July of last year, where we held this range for a good 32 days. I was noticing some of the wick wackiness being similar to this too. So in that time we were having things where we kind of went up and went down and then started to trend up and then go down, and they were creating this range of just hitting both sides, engineering liquidity. So this kind of looks similar in terms of how we came up and then immediately sold off, and now we're starting to trend back up. So you could be going sideways, engineering both sides to try to get more liquidity as people distribute their positions discreetly at that level. Ultimately, we did see a sell-off in that level down to the 25k range, but so if you notice here, we're going up and down, wick whacking, so this could just continue in a channel like so for some time. No need to rush it. But the FOMC is today, so we should see some interesting manipulations on one side or the other. It's hard to call at this time. If we look at the hourly and the liquidity and the math, everything is saying it could go up to this 52.8 high leveraged pool. And what does it do from that point? Alright, so now's the time to ask some questions if you have any, and then we will bid you adieu. I gotta get into work in the next 5 minutes. I gotta go. So let's go say what's up. Can we look at ETH? Oh, nice. Already did. So ETH has that 3050 level to look out for on that level over there. Basically a daily resistance level, and then you have that other level up here at the 2414, 31,000 if it 3100 rather, if it goes up to that continuation idea. Ultimately pretty bullish right now as it heads up in this region. Still got 4-hour cloud on your side here. Yeah. So as Bitcoin goes sideways, people are taking their profits, trimming it, and putting it into their alts with the expectation of continuation to the upside. This is also reflective in the dominance dropping as the alts play ball. Still seeing this curve to the downside here on this dominance idea. Does it continue in a fashion where it keeps going? The bearish super trend holding. If the dominance keeps dropping, alts still have fun. So this is possibly though getting a cross-up event of the 6 hour on the dominance. So if you get this double bottom effect happening, you could be coming up to the super trend on the 6, and even if you're getting this curvature, you could be getting a bearish retest before you come lower. So dominance rising with this USDT possibility. We got previous bounce off the cloud. The cloud on the 6 is still holding thick. So this could be some time before this starts to curve. The last time we were looking at that curvature was around here, and it played around in the 6 hour range for some time before rocket ship did eventually take off with that retrace. So there's no guarantees that it will go anytime soon, although the baseline on the 6 hour is holding. This is also evident on the 12 as you see this thin boy holding the price. And we reach to the outskirts of that channel. Still thick in this downward slope, which is the opposite for the upwards thing in BTC, so it's inversely related. So do we get a little bit of a burst up in that? Still holding this range. Looks like you could be range bound for some time here, similar to here. So once again, no rush or pressure to take anything just yet. FOMC is nefarious for doing some both sides damage plays where it could easily just go like this and not be surprising to me. Okay. As of this moment, you're holding the cloud and you are above the point of control, so you trade with the cloud as stated previous. So holding this 1 hour and bouncing off the 1 hour and seeing where the hourly will take you. How far does it go in terms of the liquidity? We talked about that 51.8 level or 52.889 level here, and the liquidity up there we have at 422 million up there. So can go all the way up to the 53.4 region at the 706 for the impulse. So there is some possibility of going higher, and that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. We'll see how it plays out. I'm more apt to see it retrace in a healthy manner here and go back down to 49 ish and possibly below. to see retest some of the support and knock out some of the longs that are down here at 50,000 and 49 and 50. Yeah, there's a large pool down here that they can go grab. And that is my story, and I'm sticking to it, folks. So thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you on the flip side.